Two sentenced to prison for narcotics trafficking. POMEROON man missing after Coast Guard accident with civilian boat. In the region, Brazilian president joins protests calling for an end to the pandemic lockdown. And internationally, record oil price drop bankrupts U.S. companies. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am George Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us. The National Coronavirus Task Force has reviewed its previous decision in relation to the medical protocols for the CARICOM delegation. A statement from the Guyana Elections Commission confirmed that this change in policy was at the behest of President David Granger, saying, quote, "The review was based on the President's insistence that nothing should be done, or appears to be done, that could delay the start of the recount process," end quote. The NCTF has offered the CARICOM officials two choices for coming. They either receive a coronavirus test before they leave their respective countries, or get tested in Guyana and be subjected to a 48-hour quarantine. GCOM notes that all participating parties have been notified of the task force's decision. Nevertheless, GCOM has yet to announce a date for the start of the recount. On Monday night, a POMEROON man was reported missing after a Coast Guard vessel collided into his boat. More from Esther Sobers.
A man is now missing after a collision between a Coast Guard vessel and a small civilian boat on Monday night. 32-year-old Ryan Koyom of Lower Pomeroon went missing while two other passengers were injured around 9 p.m. One of the passengers of the boat alleged that the 4 GDF ranks operating the vessel were imbibing before leaving the wharf at Charity and that the GDF vessel had no headlights. However, the same evening, a statement from the GDF defense said, "Initial investigations have so far revealed that the GDF Hawk, which had 4 ranks on board, was returning from Charity to the floating base when the incident occurred. The other vessel was carrying 4 occupants following the incident. 3 of them were recovered alive and transported to the Charity Hospital. One of the men is currently unaccounted for." The Guyana Defense Force has since commenced a board of inquiry to investigate the circumstances surrounding this incident. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. A 34-year-old resident of Tabatinga, Letum, Region 9, was on Monday granted bail on a narco-trafficking charge. Burnham Class appeared at the Letum Magistrates Court to answer to the charge, which stated that on April 17th at Hunt Oil Stretch, Central Rupununi, he had 7.017 kilograms of cannabis in his possession for the purpose of trafficking, a charge that he denied. He was nonetheless released on $300,000 bail pending trial. And in this report, BB Backus tells us that 2 men who were busted on Saturday with cocaine and cannabis were sentenced to prison on Monday.
2 men who were busted by ranks of the Guyana Police Force on Saturday with cocaine and cannabis were on Monday charged for narcotics trafficking. On Monday, 2 men faced the Linden Magistrates Court charged with narcotics trafficking. 28-year-old Porter Lawrence Harper of Lot 592 Commons Lodge, East Coast Demerara, and 32-year-old driver Stanley Mann of Lot 7 Industry, East Coast Demerara, admitted to the joint charge that on Sunday, April 18, 2020, at Mabura, Upper Demerara River, Region 10, they had in their possession 89 grams of cocaine and 6,818 grams of cannabis for the purpose of trafficking. They were both fined $240,300 and sentenced to 4 years in prison. For Headline News Updates, BB Backus.
Thanks, BB. On Saturday, Canadian airline WestJet made its first direct flight to Guyana. The flight, which departed the same day, returned several Canadians who wished to go home amid the global coronavirus pandemic. Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana, Lillian Chatterjee, said 600 nationals have indicated their wish to return to Canada. Her embassy will review the number of Canadians left and will work with the National COVID-19 Task Force to get approval for those who wish to return to Canada. Another flight is scheduled for Monday. Nevertheless, the High Commission of Canada to Guyana is still open for operations and can be contacted at telephone numbers 660-8712 or 608-7012 for assistance. Stick around. After the break, Brazilian president joins protests calling for an end to the pandemic lockdown, and record oil price drop bankrupts U.S. companies.
Hurry down to Zasco on 15 North Road between Camp and Wellington Streets. Quality products at low cost for every room in your home. 65 and 55 inches high-stand 4K smart TVs. Samsung French door fridges. Black & Decker appliances. Queen and king size Canadian-made mattresses. German-made pressure pots in Farton Beach hot and cold water dispenser.
For that reliable, prudent, and courteous traveling experience, your choice is G3 Cabs, located at 228-229 Aubrey Barker Road and Beverly Close, South Renfrew Gardens. Travel in comfort and safety with our deluxe fleet of new vehicles and neatly trimmed drivers serving our customers around Georgetown. We deliver cooking gas, small packages, run errands, and provide minor vehicular roadside assistance such as jump starts of vehicles, flat tires, spare wheel assistance, and more. Contact us on 218-4982 or 218-4500. G3 Cabs. You can count on us.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Oh gosh, what's this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I gonna do here?
Hi guys, my name is Ms. Purchase Singh and I'm the senior teacher at the literature after school program. Due to the spread of the coronavirus and the need for social distancing, we have moved our in-class learning activities to online via Skype. On the online site, we will be focusing on spelling, phonics, reading, and the National Grade 6 assessments. For more information, you can inbox us or call us.
Contact us on 675-4379.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
A face mask only works if it is put on, used, and removed properly. Before putting on a face mask, please do remember to wash your hands with adequate soap and water for at least 20 seconds, or use a hand sanitizer with 60% or more alcohol. This is an N95 face mask. Check your mask for holes and tears. Identify the top of the mask. Cup the mask in the palm of your hand with the metal strip at your fingertips and the elastic bands hanging loosely. Position the mask under your chin and covering your nose. Place the lower strap behind your neck. It must touch your neck. Place the upper strap to the top of your head. Untwist the straps. Use both hands to mold the shape of the nose piece by pushing downward and outward. Perform a fit check by checking the mask to see if there are any air leaks. Do not lower your mask to speak. You must not touch the front of your mask. If you do, then wash your hands immediately. When removing the face mask, remove the bottom elastic from behind, then the top elastic, ensuring that the elastic straps do not snap. Once again, do not touch the front of the mask. Throw the mask away in a bin with cover. Do not forget to wash your hands immediately. Remember, if your mask gets damp, replace it.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has expressed grave concern over the fall in U.S. crude oil prices into negative territory. Oil prices plunged on Monday to below $0 due to a fall in demand amid the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Financial Times, West Texas Intermediate, the U.S. benchmark, traded as low as negative $40.32 a barrel, compared to the typical $18.27 US dollars a barrel that was last posted on Friday. Dr. Rowley said this was a worrying development, saying, quote, "There's been no time like this, and even in a bad dream, we couldn't anticipate this." The Prime Minister assured that during this critical time, emphasis will be placed on recovery, noting that the government must continue to fund social programs. Dr. Rowley further explained that Trinidad and Tobago cannot be turned into a welfare state. This will lead to bankruptcy and poverty. Brazil has more than 40,000 infections and 2,500 deaths from the coronavirus pandemic, making it the worst affected country in Latin America. But President Jair Bolsonaro has been eager to get the country back on its feet economically. On Sunday, he joined protesters calling for the virus restrictions to be lifted and said the military should intervene.
For critics of Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, this rally was another outrage, perhaps the most serious since coronavirus began. He spoke to supporters outside of the Brazilian army headquarters. Many of them called for Congress to be closed and even a military intervention to get their and his wish, an end to the quarantine measures imposed by many state governments.
We don't want to negotiate anything. What we want is action for Brazil.
He's desperate for people to get back to work, despite Brazil already having the highest rate of coronavirus cases in Latin America.
70% will be infected. If not today, then next week or next month. It's a reality. We have to take care of the elderly and those with health problems. The rest have to be careful but have to work.
There's widespread opposition to that and to him.
Yesterday there was a movement of Brazilian governors. 20 out of 27 governors of Brazil, state governors, they have signed a document in defense of democracy and, of course, repudiating Bolsonaro's participation in that demonstration. So that happened yesterday, and 20 out of 27. This is significant.
There are more than 40,000 COVID cases in Brazil. Hospitals are stretched to the limit. This video shows one in the Amazonian city of Manaus, with bodies resting beside living patients. Even as the president spoke at the rally, he was coughing. He's angered many with his distaste for social distancing, but appearing with a crowd, some of whom called for the army to intervene and support him, brought wider condemnation. Brazil escaped military dictatorships only 35 years ago. The next day, the president seemed to make a U-turn.
We don't need to close anything. What we have here is democracy and respect for the Brazilian constitution.
But he still repeated his call for an end to quarantine measures in Brazil by next week. John Holman, Al Jazeera.
And internationally, the coronavirus pandemic has hit the U.S. oil industry particularly hard. Oil prices have not been this low in decades and are forcing businesses and companies to file for bankruptcy. Al Jazeera's John Hendren reports.
Across American oil country, the pumps are shutting down. Since the coronavirus locked much of the Western world in their homes, the floor has dropped out of the oil market.
There's a gas station selling gasoline for 99 cents a gallon. Now you would think, wow, that's just great. And everybody will go run. I mean, there was a line of people there to fill their cars up. The question is, where are you going to go?
The price of the benchmark American crude, West Texas Intermediate, has collapsed from $60 a barrel in January to below $20 in the past week. Across the U.S., the price at the pump is lower than it's been in years, but even at rush hour, few are buying. The International Energy Agency says the world's appetite for oil hasn't been this low since 1995. Especially hit hard, the fracking industry that turned the U.S. oil industry into a net exporter since 2011. Fracking companies, which break rocks to find fuel, need oil above $30 a barrel to make a profit.
It's not just that oil company. It's the oil service companies. It's the little towns in the oil patch that, the motels, the diners, restaurants, those types of things. The ripple effect is tremendous when you move out from the oil and gas company and all the ancillary companies that provide them services and parts. So I'm afraid it's going to be ugly.
The first casualty came on April 1st. Denver-based Whiting Petroleum declared bankruptcy. If prices don't increase soon, Whiting will likely become only the first of hundreds of oil and related companies to do so.
Right now, the pandemic, they're like, well, it's closed down. It's a stop. We're not doing anything until June 1st, or we're not doing anything until, May, whatever. So it's just kind of a day-by-day situation.
So the oil industry waits and worries until all the pumps return to service. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Chicago.
That's all for today's regional and international news. Here is the 3-day weather forecast. That's all for this edition of Headline News Update. Tune in Wednesday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Also visit our website at headlinenewsguyana.com for all the news we couldn't fit in the newscast. Until then, take care.